What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of 4th and 15 with Mel and Smooth. I am Mel, and joining me as always is Ronnie, Big Smooth Hannigan. Smooth, what's up, man?
Not a whole lot, Mel. Another wacky weekend of football glory. Loving it. What's
Man,
up with you, man?
you know what? We had a good weekend. Wood beat up on Lincoln West. Unfortunately, it was against Coach Bates. So Coach Bates is still 0-4 or winless in the Senate, unfortunately. But I'm pretty sure he'll turn that around. Uh, we won on homecoming. We pounded on Trinity 50-14.
Nice.
JV and then JV went back out on Saturday night. JV went to Keystone. Yeah, we went out to Keystone and put 40 on them. So
Real
it's,
nice.
it's, it's a good weekend. And speaking of good weekends, let's jump right into this because this is funny to me. But
Oh, yeah.
before we get started on that, got to do this. Got to keep my word. This broadcast brought to you in part by Box Bands. Strength through resistance. Resistance is key. Um, Looking for the other one. Our other sponsor is Kofifi for me. Great coffee at an affordable price. So if you're not a Starbucks person or not a Folgers person, Kofifi for me is for you. And then finally, Uncle Rico's quarter mile challenge.
Uncle Rico.
You
Oh,
can
yeah.
throw 'em all over them mountains, man. That never gets old.
No,
It
it doesn't.
never. I love it. I love it. Never gets old. All right. We're gonna start off how we always do. In the NCAA, it was pretty much upset Saturday for a lot of people. And as I'm searching for my power rankings, some people dropped, some people got kicked out, and
Hmm.
it looks like come Monday night, the rankings is gonna look totally different. Matter of fact, they already do look different as
They switched
the
it up
top
already.
10, as most of the top 10 hasn't changed, but we did have a conversation where we spoke about who we felt would lose. And the first one you brought up was, I don't know why I'm saying this, but the curse of Waka Flocka, which means Florida and
Yes.
Kentucky.
Yes.
Florida and Kentucky. Uh, that one was, you called it. You did call it. But it was like, I didn't see that happening just because it's Florida number one. They got to keep course to keep. They already have lost to Bama, so they got to keep pace to meet them again in the SEC title game. Now it don't look like that's gonna happen because Georgia stomped on Arkansas, and it's like really, I'm wondering what could Florida do to hope to bounce back because as of right now, it's not looking good. It's looking real bleak.
Losing a game like that could definitely kill any kind of momentum or confidence that you had because they shocked me, man, when they, went to battle against Alabama. Yeah, it was off to a bad start, but they were battling back. And after how close they played them in the SEC championship last year, um, it just felt like they were going in a decent direction. And to take this loss, at Kentucky was just crazy. The fact that they, not only lost the game, but they can only put up 13
Hmm.
on Kentucky, 13 points on
Think about
Kentucky
how long. Think about how long it's been
football.
since Kentucky been decent.
Man, what? Like, right, right. And they said the last time that these teams faced off and Kentucky won, I think was 1986, if I read that right.
Bro, we was
So
born
this is
around
a
that time.
huge, right. This is a huge win, and to
Hmm.
do it at home, you know what I mean, was even better for them. So, hats off to Kentucky. It does make, um, you know, Georgia's schedule look that much, harder to deal with, I guess, that last half of it. Because looking at the beginning of the season, I didn't think that it was going to play out like this at all. And just to
I
see
didn't
like
either.
what they're doing and how it's going, because you figure rest of the season, And this is going to sound weird saying this out loud, but it seems as though the harder part of it may have passed, with the exception of Kentucky, which sounds weird saying out loud. But you figure, I mean, looking at it now, man, just seeing this game because they have, Kentucky coming up here, but that's a couple of weeks away. They got Auburn, so that's a rivalry game. And then you got Kentucky at home. It's in Athens, right? And then of course
That
Florida's
helps.
always a neutral site, which they'll probably play this one at in Atlanta or whatever, since Georgia's the home team. So you figure you got to get through those three. After that, you're playing Missouri, you're playing Tennessee, and then you're playing Charleston Southern Buccaneers.
Mm.
Why is that game late? Okay, never mind. Sorry,
It's
went on
the
a tangent.
SEC, man. I keep telling you this. The SEC like to schedule these punk teams late, and
But you know
Charleston
what
Southern
though?
and Charleston Southern ain't a punk team, but like that's a game you scheduling late August.
I'm surprised because Georgia normally doesn't have a schedule like that. They usually have them in the first 3 or 4 weeks, and then the
Mm-hmm.
last two games is like whatever conference opponent in the East, and then Georgia Tech. So seeing a game like that late is very surprising to me. That's not something that they normally do. But you figure you got three more teams you got to get through that quote unquote are ranked, whatever. And then after that, it's just Missouri, Tennessee, and then, them and Georgia Tech. So it's just funny seeing the schedule, looking at it, and then seeing how Auburn, played last night against LSU. I don't know. I'm kind of confused looking at this schedule left over. But what I will say
Man.
about Kentucky, though, is for them, already knocking off Florida, right? They're undefeated. Let's put that out there too. They're
Yeah,
5-0. They're
yeah.
3-0 in conference play as
Which is
well,
big.
right?
Which is really,
That's
really big.
huge, real big, right? And their biggest game left over is the Georgia game. As far as how they play, they got LSU, which I'm thinking they can win now and two. You know what I'm saying?
It's not beyond belief. Let's
And
look
it's
at
at home.
reality here. Let's look at reality here. Kentucky has won some wild games against LSU. Don't forget about that Hail
Hmm.
Mary.
Oh yeah,
You
and it's
know,
at home.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it ain't at LSU, so that's another reason. Um, and I mean, they got a late matchup against. Well, they always had that matchup against Louisville, in-state rivalry. You know what I mean? So that's always cool. But like, this is the biggest test they got all year right here, man. So we'll see how it goes. You know,
I thought that
I'm
was a
excited about it.
basketball rivalry, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's one they still hold on to or whatever, just for the state in general, because there's not many colleges there outside of the HBCUs.
You'd be surprised how
So
big Kentucky is.
yeah, yeah,
Pikeville,
it's
well,
got
Pikeville. Who is it? Pikeville is Georgetown, is Campbellsville, but them are D2 schools. I remember them. We used to beat on them when I was in school, so
mm,
I get it.
got you. I'm excited for the
Uh,
game, man. I really am.
yeah, I bet you are. Now, while we looking at this, the top 25, I want to point this out.
Hmm. Go ahead.
There are there are five Big Ten teams in the top 15,
Hmm.
and those would be Iowa, Penn State, OSU, Michigan, and Michigan State. Now, here's a surprise for you. So, as of right now, just hear this. The playoffs were to start tomorrow. Here's rounding out the top four: Alabama, Georgia, Iowa, Penn State. Guess who's right behind Penn State?
Oh, Cincinnati, yeah, man.
Exactly. And it's as crazy as it sounds. I think Cincinnati's for real. I think that them making this announcement to move to the Big 12, something I still don't agree with, by the way, but them making this move to the Big 12 and
Hmm.
them, you know, playing the schedule that they've played and going to Notre Dame and winning for the first time ever. Keep that in mind,
True.
ever. I
True.
think they went out there a few times and got beat on each time, and then they went into Notre Dame's place and just exposed Notre Dame for whatever reason.
And here's something else that we got to touch upon too. First of all, we have not seen two Big Ten teams in the top four for playoffs, right? We haven't seen that yet. At the same time, the unfortunate part about this matchup here is both of those teams are on the opposite sides of each other. So one of them
Hmm.
would have to win the Big Ten and knock the other one out, which leaves room for
For
Cincinnati
Cincinnati,
to be
if
the
Cincinnati,
first group of five
yes,
to make it
yes,
to the college playoff. People don't understand how big that is
that's
because it was all about the
huge.
Power Five, you know, and that whole, demise of Oregon this past weekend
Oh
just
my
killed
God.
the Pac-12. Like we were talking about this beginning of the season, we said, look, the Pac-12 getting in there, the Pac-12 going back, right?
No, they
They
not.
had so much momentum, and then when that happened, it's like, yep, we just gonna cut all that talk. Let's just
Yeah, all
Pac-12
that
ain't gonna be
air,
there. I'm sorry,
all that air
it's
got
not
sucked
happening.
out of the balloon.
Done.
All of it.
And I feel bad for Pac-12 fans. I really do because
I don't.
you won't see a representative. You won't. It's going to be another year with nobody there. It is what it is, man. It's not in the
Hey,
cards.
and you know what's funny? You know what's funny? Here is my personal take on this, and then I
Hmm.
am a firm believer in this statement. Behind Oregon, okay, here's the top 10:
Go ahead. Hmm.
Alabama, Georgia, Iowa, Penn State, Cincinnati, OU, Ohio State, Oregon, Michigan, BYU. That's the top 10.
Hmm.
Oregon dropped a couple spots because I believe they actually were either fourth or fifth. They lost to Stanford. Now, they drop a couple spots. Ohio State moves up from ninth to seventh. Keep that in mind. BYU is 10th. Now, remember, you just said there's no hope for the Pac 12. Here would have
Hmm.
been your hope. Here would have been your hope had you made a play for BYU.
Yep.
Because
Yep.
think about this for those that are watching. Think about this. BYU is independent, which means if they
Hmm.
really wanted to, they could join the conference and be a part of that next year. Literally, they could be a part of it. They'd be a part of the Pac-12 next year. They're independent. They're not tied to anybody.
Correct.
There's your hope, and
And
you didn't make a play. Not only did you not make a play for them, you let them go to arguably the second weakest conference behind the Pac-12 as far as team strength. Not saying that the conferences are weak, but think about the teams that are in each respective conference.
hmm
Kansas State hasn't won the Big 12 in I don't know how long.
nope.
Uh, Baylor, Baylor's a hooper school who's just building their program back up to some decency. Iowa State has been fighting and clawing, so I have no arguments with them there. Kansas, we all know Kansas is a straight hooper school. I'm surprised the football program ain't hit the death penalty yet, but whatever. And you look at the
Right.
Pac-12, you got Colorado. Colorado should have stayed where they were, which was the Big
Hmm.
12.
Yep.
Utah is still young as far as being a member of a conference that's supposed to be powerful traditionally. But Utah fight. I have a strong feeling within like the next 2 or 3 years, Utah is going to end up winning the Pac-12.
I can see that.
Stanford hasn't been what they should be in the last couple of years. Neither has Oregon. Oregon
True.
State, uh, Oregon State still looking for an identity with the new coach, I believe. If he's not a new
Hmm.
coach, we haven't touched Oregon State in a while, so I have to do my research on that. But they're still looking for an identity as far as where they belong in the Pac-12. USC, UCLA, not gonna say they fell off, but they need work.
A lot of work.
So if I was the Pac-12 as a group, seeing BYU be independent for the last decade. Why haven't you made a play for them? Like why would you let the Big 12 all conferences get them? I'll never understand it.
And then let's also keep in mind too, BYU surging to 10 had a lot to do with like these top 10 losses, and also, of course, the loss that Notre Dame took. You got another independent, right, who was trying to get back in there, and yeah, them losing pretty much took them out too. Because now the
No,
difference is
no, not
they didn't
really.
have a conference.
I'm not gonna
They
say
didn't have a
them
conference this
losing.
year.
Yeah, true, but I'm not gonna say them losing took them out. Them losing to Cincinnati took them out. They could have lost to Purdue and still had a shot. With them losing to Cincinnati, I think that hurt big.
Them losing this, yeah, well, yeah, okay, I can see that. I can see that.
I'm just
Um,
saying. I'm just saying because think about it. You lose to Michigan, there's no harm there. Michigan is the all-time winningest team in college football. Okay, I understand it, and I'm not saying that from a me and you perspective. I'm saying that from a voter's perspective. Those people
mhm.
who are part of the committee. You lose to Michigan, you're Notre Dame. Okay, it's Michigan. You lose to Cincinnati. You up in the committee in the boardroom, and you're like, can we really trust them to be in the playoff and win?
Yep.
That's just how I'm looking at it and how I'm picturing what would the conversation be in the boardroom because that that stung. As much as I love for Luke Fickle, Cincinnati to get that win, looking at it from if you a Notre Dame fan, you probably on suicide watch right now.
Man, yeah, you feeling it real bad.
Yeah, because
Oh,
there goes your shot. You
I
know,
mean, you figure it's even worse because not only the loss to Cincinnati, but the fact that you probably should have lost to Toledo. Um,
man,
I
you
mean, I
eked
think
out
that was
you
the first red
eked
flag.
out
That
of
was the
that one.
first red flag. Yeah,
Very
you had
true.
to really fight to play to win that game. It took you all 60 minutes
You
to
had to
win
fight
that
a
game.
MAC team.
A MAC team. So that was the first. That was the first red flag. Just that right there, right? And then you
Right.
come in and you lose
To Cincinnati.
to Cincinnati. Like yeah. Mm. Now that you say that, when I look at it from that perspective, it's even worse than I thought. Way
Yeah.
worse than I thought.
And
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 then with this,
as of right now, the Big 12 has only two participants, and one of them got to lose. Is Oklahoma State at 12, and Oklahoma's at 6. They right above Ohio State.
mm,
One of them got to
mm,
lose, and they got to play each other this year within like the
wow,
next couple of weeks. So
yeah,
this top 10 gonna look mighty different, and
it's mm,
it's getting hectic. It's getting hectic.
it's getting real hectic. Between that and like Iowa, Penn State, because Cincinnati is sitting there like, look, all we got to do is win out, right? Iowa, Penn State, one of them got to go out because of the Big Ten championship. You know what I'm saying? So I think if
But
Cincinnati just
who's the
stays the course,
but who's to say either one of them might make it? Because I know for a fact Penn State's got to play Ohio State.
yeah, they do, and that's what's going to
And
determine
wait,
who the opponent is, though, for
hold
the
up.
Big Ten championship.
That's true. But hold the phone. I just checked this out. Uh, Penn State has to play Iowa
During the season.
this weekend.
Yeah, so they got a game this weekend. Um, Now, what that does is it changes up the current rankings, right? With
Big
them
time.
being on opposite ends of the Big Ten, it's a little weird because you figure you still have an opportunity to get back into the championship game, but you're still going to have to end up seeing what Ohio State and Michigan do to make that happen. Because that's a three-way
That
tie right
sucks, man.
now
It's
on that
true, but
side of
that
it, because
sucks.
it's Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State on that side
That's
tied
true,
up.
But what I'm saying is that sucks to have your hopes pinned on
Yep.
have your hopes pinned on one of them winning. Like, and
Yep.
here's the
Crazy.
remaining schedule for Penn State. Penn State goes
Hmm.
to Iowa this weekend.
Ooh, in Iowa. Oh,
Yeah,
big trap. Big trap.
if they survive that, the trap game is next week after that because they host Illinois. And Illinois is coming
Mm,
off a win. Then after Illinois, they got Ohio State. So think
mm,
about that. Like, remember, just for those watching, and for those that are gonna watch this, this show started off of a Penn State prediction
mm-hmm.
because Penn State was playing Minnesota, and traditionally, when Penn State plays a crappy team, it's usually the week before Ohio State. So
Yep.
Penn State is playing Iowa. If they survive Iowa, the crappy team is the week before Ohio State. Just keep that in mind. After Ohio State, they got Maryland, which is at 4-1 right now because they got
Mm-hmm.
pounded on by Iowa. So they're actually doing decent. Then they host Michigan, Rutgers, and finally Michigan State.
Ah, man. Look. Oh, that's. Mm, 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 mm.
Now let's
That's
look at
that's rough, man. That's
it is.
rough.
Now let's
They do
look at
not have it
Iowa
easy.
at
Mm-hmm.
all. Now let's look at Iowa. Iowa just beat on Maryland. They have Pitt State this week. They got Purdue next week. After Purdue comes Wisconsin and Northwestern. They host Minnesota, they host Illinois, and then they head out to Nebraska. Who do you think got the easier stretch out of this?
Oh man, Penn State is like, ooh, they
It's in
they hurting,
trouble.
man. They
It's
hurting.
it's trouble.
You let up 1 week, man, you done.
It's gonna be trouble, trouble.
They, it's rough for them, man. It's real rough. I mean, I ain't even exaggerating. It's
I,
rough. Okay,
Nobody's exaggerating. That's the truth. Like
they
it's
gonna be
bad.
supremely battle tested going into this. I'm
If
just
not
saying.
beat up.
Speaking of which, since we have brought up Michigan State, shout out to Mel Tucker, by the way. You know,
Oh yeah,
love that guy.
Mel doing some things right now. And
Love
what's
that guy.
crazy? Oh, I knew you. Since we on the conversation of college football, I meant to send you this, but I'm glad I didn't because I saw something on the internet. Remember how you always say the internet is undefeated?
Hmm. Not Rudy in the Bearcats jacket. Come on,
Boy,
man. Oh,
when I
that's
saw
terrible.
that,
How they gonna
when
do them
I
like that, man?
I was in tears. I ain't never laughed so hard off of that. The internet is
Mm-mm.
undefeated. Do you hear
How they
me?
gonna do them like that? That's
I'm.
messed up.
You know what? I'm not even mad. I want to look at that again.
That's oh man, that's just wrong.
5 foot nothing, 100 and nothing, and you just walked into
Mm,
Notre Dame and won.
that's just wrong, man.
That's
Oh man.
hilarious. That's hilarious. I don't care what nobody
Mm.
say. That is funny. That is
Speaking
funny.
of which, man, that's the last thing I'll say about Mel Tucker, man. Because first of all, he's a Cleveland guy, so gotta support him. You know what I'm saying? Former D
Indeed.
coordinator for both my teams. It's just, I got a little. Well, I'm pulling for the guy, man. I don't think they'll win the Big Ten this year or anything like that. They're definitely moving along. They're definitely growing. It's exciting to see what he's doing there. But yeah, man, Penn State, y'all in trouble. I'm just saying. Because the thing is, let's say, here's my prediction. If they get past Iowa, they are losing to Michigan State. I'm putting it out there right now. There you go.
I don't think they'll get past Iowa, to be honest.
I don't think they will either, but they losing to Michigan State. I'm just saying it right now. They losing to Michigan State.
That is a very strong possibility.
Put it out
And let's wait. Here's the thing, though.
there. Hmm.
Let's keep in mind, Michigan still has to play Michigan State at the end of the month. They
Yep.
still got to. they still got to play Penn State as well. They got to play a
Mm-hmm.
scrappy Maryland team, and then they got OSU
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the
Mm.
season.
Mm. Mm-mm-mm.
And
Hard there too.
legitly, and I'm only saying this because this is the truth.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't played anybody in the first 5 6 weeks of the
Nope.
season. They ain't played nobody. You beat up
Nope.
on Western Michigan. You beat a Washington team that probably won't win the Pac-12. You had
No,
Northern
not this year.
Illinois. It's Northern Illinois. Go
Mm-hmm.
figure. And then you
Right.
beat on Rutgers. You Wisconsin has not been where they should be in the last 3 years.
That's
You
true.
got Nebraska coming up. Then you got Northwestern. You won't see a tough opponent until you go to Michigan State.
That's true. I mean, because you got to
And
think
then
about it too. Like,
and even then, after Michigan State, you're hosting Indiana, who was supposed to be good but isn't good.
yeah, that was a rough fall off,
Rough ain't the word.
man. Man, I had
I
all
was
the hopes in that.
man, what? After last
I
year?
had, yeah, bro. I had all the hopes. I mean, I was sitting here like, ooh, it'd be nice to see them do something. And the quarterback was just killing, keep people in the air, man. It was just nice. And then
Man,
I don't know,
he get
nothing
hurt,
happened.
everything go to shit.
Oh, that's
I
it.
man, I've been saying this is the same stuff I said when Jushin Liger retired. When he retired, everything went to shit.
Hmm.
Now, with that being said, this is the last thing I'm gonna say on this topic because I feel like this is important. So we go back a few weeks, maybe a few months back, and over the summer they had pushed along the okay to talk about an expanded college playoff.
Hmm.
Say Cincinnati gets in. Do you think that playoff push, that expanded playoff gets rushed, get put, not rushed, but gets pushed now, or is they still waiting?
I think it gets pushed. I feel like them getting in would definitely make a case for it, a strong case. Just seeing how like the top 10 or even the top 25 has shifted so much just in the first month,
Hmm.
of the schedule itself. Probably one of the bigger shifts that we've seen in a long time. A lot of these teams usually will hold their spot for the first 4 weeks or so. Then you start seeing some teams get beat on or fall to unranked or whatever. But the way this has been, man, I mean, we started from week one seeing
Yeah,
folks take L's or even seeing
Clemson.
some of the top teams play like crap. You know what I'm saying? Like, because the thing is, when we saw Alabama fall apart defensively a couple weeks ago, it was like, oh, okay, here's something to kind of keep watching, see what they do the rest of the year. Then you had like Clemson their demise or whatever, and them barely beating teams now. Like each opponent they play now is like, are you going to win the game? I don't know. We'll
Right.
see. You got to watch to the end
That's
to
my
see if they have the juice left.
exactly, exactly.
That's why they're not in the top 25 anymore. They're like, you know what, y'all just need to stop. Just we're done with y'all. You know what I
Pretty
mean? Like
much.
that's it.
When
It's funny because
Wake Forest is ranked ahead of
mm-hmm.
you, you know you done messed up.
Wow,
Right? Yeah, Wake Forest is 19th. Clemson is not
right.
even in the top 25 anymore.
There you go, man. And the thing is, like the ACC crumbled early, first 2 weeks. You
Right.
know,
Here's the thing.
North
Here's the
Carolina got
thing.
crapped on. Florida State was getting beat down on, and you got
Miami.
freaking Miami. Like everybody's just getting pissed on, man. Like Wake Forest is the hope of the ACC right now. Do you hear what I'm
Man,
saying right now, man?
if this was basketball, I'd be all for that. But this is football, man.
Like that's why I'm like, this is so wacky. Like nobody in their right mind is gonna say that before the season. Wake Forest is gonna be the face of the ACC this year. What? No, hell no. Right? Here we are, week 5, week 6 going into, and them dudes is on top of all of them.
You know, I just thought about this too. Since we
Crazy.
just doing my research, NC State and Wake Forest are ahead of Clemson in the top 25.
Mm.
SMU is 24th.
Oh man.
Cincinnati is fifth, and they got to play each other at the end of the season.
Ooh.
If Cincy can stay the course, I promise you, I'm not saying this is really going to happen, but I'm saying this as a firm believer. And if you show it, it's going to happen. I'm a firm believer. If Cincy can stay the course, if Luke Fickle can keep them focused and
Hmm.
uh, win the American Conference, that push for an extended playoff will happen sooner rather than later
For sure.
because Cincy has been knocking on the door for the last 3 years.
Hmm.
They got snubbed last year and played one of, if not, the hardest group of five schedule.
True.
And mind you, they had to play the same team twice in the conference championship. You got two teams from the American Conference now in the top 25. If this happens, I think honestly, if they extend, if since he makes it in, and that
Hmm.
push and that push for the extended playoff it happens sooner, I don't think some of these teams make the jump to them conferences
I could agree with that.
because
I could agree
now
with that.
what I'm thinking is if Cincy handles business, they get in. BYU don't have to worry about joining a conference to keep getting snubbed because now they know they got a shot if that gets pushed.
True.
Notre Dame can say, okay, well, we really don't have to join nobody. And then you got Coastal Carolina, you have SDSU. Just throw that out there because they're 25th.
Hmm.
It may change some things. I'm
Speaking of
not
which,
saying I'm not saying it will. I'm just saying it may change some things.
and the way their current season is looking, for Cincinnati, like you said, they have to take the course. This weekend they play Temple. It's their first conference game actually of the season. They have not touched a conference opponent at all
And
since
that's
then.
a good thing. Honestly, that's a good thing because they showed they can handle their business outside of non-conference. Outside of the
That's
conference,
true too.
that non-conference schedule was big. You going to Notre Dame, beating Notre Dame, that's on national TV. That was on NBC. Nothing
Hmm.
but
Nobody,
Catholics.
everybody. Yep.
Yes, everybody saw that. That is big, and you got a little bit of that money.
True. Very true.
Now as a recruiting tool, you get to go in there and say, "Hey, I beat Notre Dame."
Yep.
A group of five, not a power five, a group of five. That means these are the five conferences that they told everybody we ain't even gonna worry about them. They left them out and they came in and they beat the world's most famous college in all of college football
Hmm. And did it at South Bend.
and did it soundly, man. I
In front of
honestly
touchdown
believe
Jesus.
touchdown Jesus about to have a talk with them.
Oh man, touchdown
I,
Jesus.
we don't talk about the Lord like that, but touchdown Jesus is looking at them like, what the fuck are y'all doing, man?
Man, it's bad. Yeah, I'm excited for it, And then let's not forget too, um, they definitely are fired up, especially the
Hmm.
way their season ended. They had a really good game against Georgia last year in the end,
And
where they
almost
lost by
beat
that field
Georgia.
goal. hmm so seeing that was like, all right, very, very scrappy. And it's funny because like I remember that meme they made of the dude who was
Watching them
sitting there in
celebrate.
the end zone, just staring at him, you know.
Hmm.
So they definitely are looking forward to that. They're probably hoping for potentially what could be a rematch in the college football playoff. Um,
That
so that
would
would be
be
pretty cool.
awesome. That
That
would
would be a
be
great
awesome.
game, you know.
I would look forward to that.
So
All right, we'll move along from that. I want to talk about this because apparently, legally, this will probably be the last time we get to say it. Cleveland Indians' last home game was last week. And from what I know, effective immediately after the season, they will start changing the name over from the Indians to the Guardians. Still not happy about this, but I wanted to get your thoughts on it.
You know, it rubbed me weird because somebody had posted on Twitter. They showed the scoreboard was going to potentially look like with the Guardian name above it, how that's going to play out. Above the bleachers, and it was just strange. I can't really bring myself to say it out loud. You know, Talking with, family and friends and stuff like that, some people are happy, some are like, "Oh yeah, it's those guys you see on the Carnegie Lorraine Bridge." And like, that's great. Happy for you. At the same time, for me, you always have like your backup team. You always have some team that you're going to probably end up following, watching, whatever. So,
Go Yankees.
I'm trying to solidify that. Because the thing is, like, deep down, it's just hard because them being from this, you're still in the same city. I try to support, but I'll probably end up watching from the outside, like I kind of do with the Cavs right now. So it is what it is, man. I know a lot of people are feeling it, a lot of people are not. It's kind of split, basically.
Right.
Um, and once again, and this is probably one of the last things I'll say about it is it just kind of felt like some folks was trying to make a decision without going to the source, and
Exactly.
here we are. So it is what
Exactly.
it is, man. A lot of people who were offended that don't even identify with a certain group of individuals, and here you go. So it kind of makes me wonder, like, what some of these other names will end up being. Of course, the Washington football team's trying to figure out what they want to do. I heard they do have like a top four,
Hmm.
so maybe they'll have something starting next season. I like the Red Hawks idea. I thought that was dope. Seeing that, or Red Wolves, whatever. I thought that was
I like
pretty
the
hot.
Red Wolves because you don't hear that one very often.
No, that would be pretty dope. Actually, I support that one.
I never even
Not the way
seen
it
a
went
Red
down
Wolf. I'd
though.
like to see what that looks like.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, the way it went down was trash, but I think the name that comes after it and them not making a rush to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
you made a rush to hurry up and like take the name off, which was like, okay, whatever, right? But at the same time, you're not rushing to put something back on there. Like, oh, this is it, cool, right there. What do we have
Yeah.
in what do we have in
And
the DC
I like
area? Oh,
the way
because that's what
Dan
all other
Snyder
teams
has
did.
done that. I like the way Snyder has
Yeah,
this.
because literally every other team that's in the Washington area, the DC area, has chose something that has to do with something political or something that's like nearby in the area because you got like the
Hmm.
Capitals, you got the Nationals, and all this
Wizards.
stuff about the country. Right, man, like come on, man. So I was like, all right, I see y'all doing
I,
all of that, whatever.
I
And
think
this football
Washington
team
still
said,
should have
look,
stayed with the Bullets, but that's just me.
oh yeah, for sure. That should have never changed. That should have never changed. Then they had a nerve to go
But
back to the colors. I'm like,
I ain't
don't
understand
do it
that one
like
because
that.
it was so weird
Yeah.
watching that with the logo. I was like, "What are y'all doing?" Like,
Yeah, like come on, man. You gonna try to like actually emulate the bullets with the wizard logo? Like you
yeah,
that's
that
just
didn't work.
disrespectful. That's
That didn't work at
disrespectful,
all.
man. That's disrespectful.
Yeah, we'll leave that one alone though. But I did want to
Right, I'm
get your
not.
thoughts on that. Because I'm over it, but it was still something because it's the end of the season for the Indians. They're not in the playoffs. It's a shitty way to go out. So
Yeah, it
there we
is.
are. Moving right along, we head to our favorite topic of the night.
Oh yeah.
In the NFL, quick update: Buccaneers are actually behind the Patriots at halftime, 7-6. Um, Brady said he wanted to go in and kick their butt. Bill Belichick is pretty much like fuck everybody at this moment.
Right.
So I will reserve my judgment on that till I finish keeping an eye on the game. Uh, I did want to point one game out, actually a couple games out to you before we
Hmm.
got to your Browns and my Steelers. Uh, Bills gave the Texans a goose egg,
Man,
like
nothing like a good old butt whooping there, huh? A little
took it to the shed. But
40 rip. Ugh.
my question is, we've seen how the Bills are the last couple of years. So there's
Hmm.
no question that I think they're for real now. But my question is, who's the bigger threat to the Chiefs? Is it the Bills or is it the Browns?
You know, it's, I feel like it still would be Cleveland only because now they've had more meetings in the last two seasons against each other, right? The thing is, each time Cleveland plays the Chiefs, they're gaining a little bit more. They're looking better statistically. They're scoring more points, right? And they're giving Mahomes more fits
Right,
because when we look at it last year, Mahomes was kind of doing his thing. Like he had to get warmed up. He comes out flat, then he gets warmed up. Then he gets popped, knocked out the game, right? And then you have this year where plays the whole game. He's confused. First quarter didn't know what to do. And
right.
that rookie
That was
look,
big.
it was crazy, right? Brown secondary was shutting him down. Then of course that whole fiasco on the sideline. Okay, Ronnie
I'm
Harrison got
still
the
mad
game.
about
It's a
that
different
one.
game. I was like, bruh, that game, that was the win right there, right? And the thing is, the firepower they have, what they did in the offseason to be able to compete with teams now defensively, I felt like the Chiefs definitely would have, you know, a harder time against the Browns than the Bills for that reason. Also, seeing like the guys they brought in, they're starting to really hone this defensive scheme. They're learning it. A lot of new faces, new players, guys who were hurt, who all of a sudden are having to play their first season actually. So like Delpit,
Greedy
Williams
Williams,
out
yeah,
there, who actually got an INT today. That was pretty cool.
yeah.
But the thing is, like, these guys are adjusting again. There's a lot of guys coming in, a lot of new faces, new linebackers. Everybody at each level has someone different that's trying to learn the system. And
Hmm.
each week they're getting better at it. So you figure to get the Chiefs first week to see what they did against them, cool. And then to have to see them again potentially in the playoffs, those are going to be two totally different teams, right?
Right.
Now it makes me nervous though for the Chiefs because with the Chiefs though, they looking like kind of okay right now. I don't know how to say it. Like I'm not really worried that they wouldn't make the playoffs, but they don't look like the same team they looked like the last 2 years. You know what I
I,
mean?
I I would be nervous given the fact
You know,
that given the
and the
fact that
Raiders, the
both
way they looking,
the Raiders and the Chargers, even though they play
uh,
tomorrow night, but even though the
man,
Raiders, like given the way they, and even Denver,
Denver looked good. That's
like
sucks that
you,
Bridgewater got that concussion, but
he'll be back.
he'll
But
be back against the Browns.
but given that, I mean, it's Lamar Jackson. This motherfucker's a fucking damn uh, Michael Vick from Madden '04.
Right.
But given that your division is now all of them are in good standing,
Hmm.
I don't think I don't think just one AFC West team makes it to the playoffs this year. I think it's more than one.
Oh, for sure,
I honestly do.
for sure.
I'm honestly feeling like that's a strong possibility.
I can see that. I can see not only obviously the division champion, but also the runner up. Both of them gonna
Yeah,
be in it. It's one of those situations where we're now looking at that difference of okay, last year you had the NFC East, which was horrible, right? So somebody had to get in by
right.
default, and then what that did was it created to make it so lopsided with that extra playoff spot where you had teams who were like 8-8 just getting a chance, right? But in this situation, when you have three teams who potentially would end the season in double digits, obviously, one of those double digit teams might not get in, the other two will. It's
Yeah,
just how things work, you know. So honestly, right now, I could definitely see like Chiefs Raiders. That looks very apparent,
I
you
say
know,
Chiefs
because it.
Chargers. To be honest, I think the Raiders get snubbed this year.
And if that happens, it's because of the
The head to head.
right. That's the only thing. I mean, with them all being in the same division, one of them got to
Somebody's
go
got to win.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the only thing that keeps the Raiders out is the Chargers. I feel like honestly, because the way they've been playing, man,
Hmm.
it's just amazing to see what they're doing, and they've been tested already. I mean,
Yeah, they have.
to see what they did against Baltimore, and then like just these battles, man, these overtime games, and it's great. It's great.
Speaking of overtime games, there were two this week.
Oh, oh
The
man.
Giants end up
Uh-oh.
squeaking out one against the Saints, and the Titans.
I
The
don't
Titans
understand.
give the the Titans give the Jets their first win of the season.
Oh man, it hurt. That hurt. That was like, oh man, the Giants against this man. Listen, both of them games, I could tell you, I had the opposite happen. So when I saw, especially the Jets, like the
Man, I didn't
Jets and
think
the
the Jets was.
Titans, like who even thought that'd be close? You know what I'm saying? I mean, and it's funny because Derrick Henry still ran for a buck 50 on him. Still, right?
But the
Here you go.
sad part about that was in overtime they did not use him a lot.
See, and you know he
They
gets
did not.
stronger as the game go on. That man does not gas
What you
out.
mean?
Like
What you mean stronger as the game going on? Have you seen that big motherfucker? That motherfucker strong. Period.
he gets even strong. He's like it's like pissing off the Hulk. You know what I'm saying? The more angry he is, the harder
Bad
he
shit
gonna
happens.
fight, the further he gonna throw you, the faster he gonna run. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't piss that man off, man. It's just oh man, it's not fair. Physically,
And
it's not
what's crazy is all they had to do was kick a field goal to tie the game,
fair.
and the kicker shanked it wide left.
See, you just can't put it in the hand. People always talk about not putting it in the hands of the refs, right? You shouldn't put it in the hands of the kicker either, man. Let's just be honest. It's not something that we talk about. It's not like said, but that's just another scenario, right? It shouldn't be
And
on them either.
right, and
Shouldn't be on them either.
For my Lutheran West players that are watching or that will watch this, this is why kicking is important. This is why, because
Absolutely.
they left it in the hands of their kicker. All he had to do was tie the game, and he shanked it. He didn't. It wasn't even like it left his foot wrong. He didn't follow through. He straight shanked that kick. As soon as it
Hmm.
left his foot, it started gliding to the left. You gave the. I honestly thought the Jets and the Lions was going over, and the Jets end up getting their first win.
It's crazy, man, because you figure now the only teams that haven't won a game are what the Lions and the Jags at this
Hmm.
point. So
I
there's
thought the
that
Jags would have been the
statistic.
guy at least one.
Me too. Like this is crazy. You know what I mean? But shout out to how they played the Bengals. That was impressive, actually. Because the way the Bengals
Damn
been
kicker.
playing, yeah, another one, man. See, it makes or breaks you. Hell, I thought that was
Hmm.
gonna happen with the Browns today. Thinking
Mm-mm.
about that, but I
Before
won't
we
get to
get
that
to the
yet.
before we get to the Browns, we're gonna jump to the Packers Steelers because clearly my Steelers are not looking the way they should offensively. But
Mm.
instead of being biased, I'm gonna ask you, outside of Ben, what do you think the problem is for the Steelers offensively?
Um, Honestly, I would say, keeping guys healthy is a big thing. Not having Chase Claypool just kind of like changed the whole dynamic of that offense. It's great to have Najee out there. He's definitely played a lot better than I thought he would. And to see how he's adjusted to the NFL, that's pretty cool. Actually, I'm gonna give props on that. But like Claypool was such a big part of the offense last year. Still is. I feel as though there's some other guys out there not utilized heavy enough on the offensive side of the ball. And quite frankly, maybe it's too early for me to say this, man, but I was talking to someone else I worked with that, supports Pittsburgh, and they felt like Haskins should get an opportunity. I mean, I don't know if he should get one now necessarily, but I don't see why not. Honestly, I'm feeling like, it's been done. I can't say he's done like right now. End of season, yeah, he should hang it up. I don't think he's done, but like it's like what do you have to lose right now by playing
I was headed
Haskins?
down that road. I honestly
Might
was
as
headed
well.
down that
Like,
road.
why not? What it, this season, this is one of those seasons where you're like, okay, we're definitely transitioning at quarterback, right?
Right.
Probably won't win the division. There may not be a playoff spot because who knew Cincinnati was going to be playing the way they are? So now I'm really confused.
Right.
And it's like, what you got to lose at this point? I mean, you might as well see what the boy can do, man. Throw him in there. You know what I'm saying? You went after him. You went after him. Like you
Yeah.
literally were like, we want him, bring him over. You know what I'm saying? Like there, you saw something, right? So I say give the kid an opportunity, man. This is his chance to redeem himself. He's learning behind somebody who will definitely end up being in the Hall of Fame.
Hmm.
It's just a matter of, you know, it's like, do you do that now or do you take the Jameis Winston approach? Say, okay, we know you're probably going to be going through the season. This is our guy next season. I mean, I don't know, but I feel like test him, man. Throw him in there one time, see what he do.
I mean,
No harm, no foul, bro.
They have the Broncos and the Seahawks within the next 2 weeks before they see the Browns. So I think this would be the time to at least, you know, get him ready for
Mm-hmm.
somebody. Now,
Something.
if not those three teams, I think get him ready for somebody you know you can beat. And I'm
Yeah,
not
for
saying,
sure.
and like I said, I'm not saying that to be funny, but you got to beat somebody. If you ain't gonna, you're probably not gonna beat the Seahawks, even though the Seahawks are sketchy.
They very
They
sketchy.
did beat the
Yep.
49ers. They did beat the
Mm-hmm.
49ers, and they did beat the Vikings. The Broncos are, I believe they're either second or third in their division. So
Now
looking
they're
like you
third
might,
because of that loss. Yeah.
looking like you're not gonna win that game either. But if you're gonna throw him in before you see the Browns, I think you need to throw him in within like the next 2 weeks. Because if you don't, and you throw him in against the Browns, he's gonna get killed.
Now, do they play the Broncos coming up this next game?
Hmm.
Because you figure concussion
They have
protocol,
the
you're not going to see Bridgewater,
they
right?
have the
So,
Broncos. They have the Broncos this week, and then next week they have the Seahawks, and that's the Sunday night game.
and they're at
So
home against the Broncos.
they're at home against the Broncos and the Seahawks.
Oh, I'll put them
That
in
just
this week.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Put them in this week. You figure there's no Bridgewater, right? It's going to be really that's going to be a really weird matchup. Like I would throw him in this week. I'm sorry, I would. I would play him this week. I would. This is the week that you
Well,
do it. This is the week you
okay.
do it if you're going to do that. Yeah.
We'll see if they do it, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, Now we got to head to the Browns and the Vikings. Here's my thing. We talked about this last week, how everybody was up in arms about Joe Woods' defense and
Hmm.
how he's playing these guys timid and, the defense is terrible. And then I did my research. As of right now, currently, the Browns rank fifth in rush defense and fifth
Hmm.
in pass defense. And overall, they rank third in the NFL in total defense. What is everybody still mad about? Oh yeah, it's Baker. So let me start by saying this. You and I both know we do our research, we pay attention.
Hmm.
You've played the game, I've played the game. So this is what I'm going to say about the day. Today, I saw a lot of Bakers this, Bakers that. kill Baker, burn down Baker's house at First Energy. Baker needs to stop making them commercials. Let's stop with all of this. People, please, let's stop. Let's look at reality. The Browns went into Minnesota. Your head coach came from Minnesota. Your opponent knew your head coach very well. Why?
Very.
Because they ran his system. That was the exact same system that the Browns are running that Minnesota was running today. It was the
Mhm.
exact same system. The only difference is Kirk Cousins is not who y'all thought he was, and is never
No,
going to be who you think he is or who you want him to
no.
be. On top of that, stop calling for Case Keenum. I'm gonna tell you why after I listen to how you felt about it. But
Mm-mm-mm.
defensively, you're third. You're the third best defense in the league. Your quarterback has managed the game against quality opponents. I know the Bears don't look like it, even though they won today. I know the Bears don't look like a quality opponent, but think about this: you got to go against the entire NFC North this year.
Hmm.
They beat you beat Justin Fields to the point where they was almost talking about benching him for this week. You got to see Aaron Rodgers. You got through Kirk Cousins today. The defense ain't the problem. It was the fact that your opponent knew your head coach, they knew your system, and they were going to make it hell on you. Your defense did exactly what your offense needed them to do, which was shut down your system, because that's
Exactly.
exactly what it was. So please calm down. Your defense is fine. Your offense is fine. It's not a big deal. It's not going to hurt you to win an ugly game. Just relax. And I'll tell you why to stop calling for Case Keenum after I hear you.
For me, yeah, people are like exaggerating it, and I get it. They saw the last few seasons, and they all of a sudden want Baker to have this like hot start. They're looking at him last year and this year, and they're like, "What's going on?" Blah blah blah, and they're not looking at the quality of the opponent, right? Because this season compared to last season, there's a lot more work that the Browns are going to have to do to get through the rest of the schedule, right? It's not an easy schedule. It wasn't easy last year. It's probably harder this year, looking at
It's
how some of
always
their
hard. They
opponents
have the
are
hardest schedule
playing.
every year.
You know what I mean? So, and just to see that alone, I mean, you got to think about this too. When people were all pissed off with Baker and this and that, seeing how he did, they have to remember this man has only made it to his second season with the same coach, right? He's had three coaches, three different offensive systems. Okay. He's only been in the same system for 2 years in his first 4 years of the NFL, right? Let's start with that. Secondly,
Dame
after
actually
four
makes a good
weeks,
point. Dame
what's
actually made
that?
a good point. He said Mike Zimmer is a good coach. Also, Vikings came in losing their games by a combined 4 points. So he's got a point. He's got
Exactly.
a point.
Because with the Vikings themselves, I mean, they're not like a slouch team. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
They just got a
And the
slouch
thing is,
quarterback.
they're right. And they're decent defensively. Like they're not like
Hmm.
bad. You know what I'm saying? People are like, oh, we should be walking through, blah, 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 blah. Look, man, all this shoulda, woulda, coulda stuff, man, I get it. Okay. But at the same time, like, there's a lot of key factors here you gotta think about. Baker, first of all, he still have a decent rating overall. He's only thrown two picks in 4 games, right? So the thing is he's taking care of the football. Chubb is eating, both him and Hunter averaging over 5 yards a carry after 4 games. Great. They're doing their thing. It's good to see Odell back out there and these other guys or whatever. It'll be nice to see Jarvis back soon. We know he's gonna be out for at least a month. And you got our heel, right? Now the thing is, when people are calling for like Case Keenum, Look, man, I get it. He's a guy who was in Stefanski's system before, blah, 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 blah. Okay. But when under pressure, Keenum makes mistakes that could actually be worse than what Baker is doing or has done. That's
I
one thing.
wasn't I wasn't going that route, but we gonna add that to it because I
You
was gonna
know?
throw out a stat. I was actually gonna throw out a stat that nobody paid attention to, and Dame actually said, and yeah, he's actually right. He said, Kirk Cousins hadn't thrown a pick within 200 attempts, so that equals out to like what, a season and a half.
Hmm.
So that's true, Dame. You are correct on that. But as far as calling for Case Keenum, here's my stat. What college did Case Keenum come from? I'm gonna let you wait. I'm gonna let you go search that.
Houston.
Okay, so keep that in mind. What I'm saying. How many NFL quarterbacks do you know from the University of Houston that have panned out? Don't worry, I'll wait.
Mm. Um, oof. Yeah, that's a. I can't even think of one.
I'll give you the answer in this comment.
Man,
Andre Ware, David Klingler, his little brother, Kevin Cole. Where are they now?
somewhere doing
Look,
something. I don't
look.
know.
Klinger and Ware had the Klinger, Ware, and Keenum are currently the longest or have. Well, Keenum currently right now has the longest career in the NFL of a Houston quarterback, a Houston University quarterback.
Mm.
Kevin Call, no, Kevin Call played at Houston, if I'm not mistaken. Let me look that up. I believe I looked this up earlier, and uh, eh, let's see, let me see. Yeah, he went to Houston. Kevin Kolb went to Houston. So
Wow.
Kevin Kolb no longer in the league. I don't think he's been out of the league since 2013. Andre Ware, even though he was the first black quarterback to win a Heisman at the University of Houston, he fizzed out very quickly. He was also cursed to a bad Lions team, even though he had Barry Sanders. David Klingler was cursed to a bad Bengals team. None of these
Mm.
quarterbacks played out. So with that being said, you're calling out uh, you're calling for a quarterback who comes from a traditional college or comes from a college that traditionally does not support the fact that your quarterback may or may not be good. And the last few evidential statistics of a Houston quarterback actually panning out have not been very well.
No, that's very true, man. And just sitting back thinking about this for a sec. I mean, I just it's one of those things where, and we all know this, right? Browns fans in general are just not used to success.
Clearly,
So, when little stuff like this happens, I don't want to compare it to, something that's actually serious like PTSD. Um, but it's like as soon as one thing goes wrong, everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, that's it for the season. Oh, we're done." Oh, it's like, yeah, Nick Chubb from time to time will get tackled for the loss. Everybody gets tackled for a loss. It happens, right? It's the NFL. They're all professional football players. They're better than we are at that game. They're going to tackle somebody for a loss. Even the sorriest team is going to get a tackle for the loss. Okay,
even the
let's
sorriest
start
team is
there.
going to get a win.
Even the exactly. Okay, right. So there's that. Then a QB throws a pick. Oh man, oh you gotta bench him. You know, should be Case Keenum. You know what I'm saying? What are we doing? I don't know. You shouldn't have tried to force that in there. Blah 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 blah. Okay, all right, cool, whatever. Now let's say you get I don't know, on defense, right? Somebody gets burnt on the outside. It's gonna happen. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna happen one time on whatever play. They're gonna give up a long pass or whatever it is. Oh man, that guy gotta get benched. Who's the next one up? Oh, this is how Browns fans talked about the whole game, every game. You know, every single game, right? Without looking at it from a holistic approach or just big picture. They're getting better every week.
Right.
They're facing opponents that are not bad opponents, right? They're
Clearly.
getting tested week. And it's the thing that Stefanski said in his after game speech to the team. He said, "Team, we're 1-0. Next week, we're coming in 0-0 to be 1-0 again." That is his message every single week, right? There's another test of that. And then there's other people who are hitting me up saying, "Ronnie, man, you think they should have went for that field goal when they're talking about the first quarter possession when the Vikings went up and the Browns were marching down the field and they were on like the Minnesota 8, and they're like, "Oh man, they probably should have went for that." I'm like, if you on the opponent's 8, right, make a statement. You know what I'm saying? You're so deep, like I get it. You don't want to give up points or leave points on the board, but if your defense has been playing the way it's been playing, I would take that fourth quarter. I mean, that fourth down attempt too. I
I
would
would
do
too.
it because guess what? They turn the ball over on the 8. The team has to go 90. Your defense who's been playing lights out. What's the issue with that, right? Oh, we shouldn't have left them 3 points on the board. Look,
So
they figured it
what?
out. They figured it out, right? They won the game today. And while they won the game, people still complain, oh, 14-7. I saw this opportunity where they could have thrown that touchdown to Kareem Hunt. And I saw this where it's like, look, man, it's an ugly game. You have ugly games. Take the win. Move
Right.
on. You're 3-1 after 4 games. Like, be happy about it. Oh my
And
God. Like, Browns fans, be happy about it. You're 3-1 after 4 games and you're mad.
hey, wait. Here's the best way to sum that up.
Like, seriously?
But it's true. It's
Yeah,
true. Coaches call ugly wins, well, wins ugly wins because of how they happen. But guess what? It still happened. I'll take that.
it's still a win. It's still a dub,
Exactly.
man.
I'll take it.
It's still a
And the
dub.
thing and the thing about it is, like I said, your head coach just left that team 2 years ago, almost to the day.
Fresh.
He just left
Super
that team
fresh.
2 years ago. It's not like half of that team has been depleted. That team is still intact from the quarterback on down.
Hmm.
So what did y'all think was going to happen going into this game? I'll admit, when I did my early analysis when I was writing this for Cleveland Sports Talk, I did predict the Browns were going to beat the doors off Minnesota. It was going to be a rout, but that didn't happen. They still got to win. I
Right.
didn't at that time. I didn't factor in. Damn, Stefanski did just leave there. The team is still intact, and the defense probably won't be where they should be, but they'll be good enough to beat Minnesota. Two out of those three things happened. The defense is well beyond good enough to beat Minnesota, and Minnesota came into this game better than we thought they'd be.
For sure.
What's the problem? And you won. You
For
still won.
sure. And
You were two
then,
and 0 against the NFC North.
and remember, Sheldon Richardson went back
Right.
to the Vikings and he was playing his ass off. And you know what else? He spent a whole season going
In
up
Cleveland.
against those offensive linemen for the whole year in practice. You don't think he
So he
remembered?
knows them. He
You
knows
don't
them.
think he remembered? It's fresh. Like, oh my man. It's just mm, it's funny, man. It's just funny to me because like I said, man, Cleveland fans just ain't used to success, bro. It just is what it is. It's like every little
Even
thing's
if you
going, trip people up, and it's gonna make them have these little tantrums, during the games or whatever, and even afterwards. Oh, shoulda,
Yeah,
shoulda, shoulda. You
yeah,
gotta win. Shut up.
because I saw that, and what bothered me, I saw something earlier this week. It was a little meme or whatever. It said point to the quarterback that's in the bottom of the division in the AFC North, and they all pointed to Ben. But
Yeah.
here's my thing. I
Hmm.
in response, it was actually Dame. You know who it was? It was Rob Woodson who put that up. But in response, I was like, point to the only quarterback in the division that has a Super Bowl ring. And everybody was like, you love living in the past, this, that, and the third. Okay, so do y'all. Some of y'all Browns fans are still delusional, like it's still 1994, and the Browns are like the greatest thing since sliced bread. Okay, and then what? Y'all left. Well, the team left. You came back. You sucked for 20 years. You finally got the coach that you deserve. Because I honestly, and this is my wholehearted, honest opinion, I don't think there's a better head coach for this team than Kevin Stefanski. I don't
Oh
think the
yeah, hands
system.
down.
I don't think there's a better system for Baker Mayfield than the system he's in now. And I don't think, honestly, there's a better rushing attack outside of Derrick Henry than the Browns. I don't.
Yeah,
So, with all of this being said, here's what I would like Browns fans to understand. You're not going to win the Super Bowl overnight. Y'all are in the best bad situation you could ever be in. You got to pay your
hmm
quarterback. You already paid your number one draft pick defensive lineman. You've paid off your running back. You've got the other running back for at least another year, I believe.
One
You're
more year.
going
Yep.
to you're going to lose one of your top two receivers, but you still got four other receivers left. You still got four good receivers left. What other team has that problem?
And the receivers
You
that you still have that you're gonna lose, you still got them for a couple more years,
Yeah, you got Landry.
man.
I'm being honest about this. Between Landry and Odell, I think Landry's staying. As much as I love
Oh
Odell,
yeah, hands
as much
down.
as I love Odell, he's not worth the money at this point. And I don't know if Jarvis could talk him into taking a pay cut to stay. If he could,
And we've
great.
seen what they can do without him.
Yes. And then we've seen
I
what they can
mean,
do with Higgins, Peoples Jones, and Schwartz. So it's not like they hurting for receivers. And the receivers that they
bro.
got behind Jarvis are young.
And what's crazy about this whole scenario, Baker statistically is better without Odell on the field, bro. Let's
Mm-hmm.
just call it out. And I hate to say that because we've seen it twice now. Like it's not even like a secret or anything. And the thing is, like with him not being out there, and it's something I said before, defensive coordinators literally were like, okay, we know Odell is going to get targeted anywhere from 6 to 10 times during the game. If you make a big play, you're going to either give up a big one or you're going to get a big one of the two, if you cover that man. So, with that being said, there's going to be some times where he's going to try to force it to him, and then you can kind of go from there. As soon as he wasn't in the game and he had to have that time to spread the ball around and do those different things that he's able to do at Oklahoma, different quarterback, different
Exactly.
stats, different
Exactly.
success, more points on the board, right? So for me personally, and I like Odell too, I do, right? I don't want to see any kind of a trade situation. I don't want to see him just live out his contract and be gone. But if I'm
It
picking
is what
between
it
him
is.
and Jarvis, I'm keeping Jarvis though. I'm
Right.
keeping
And
Jarvis,
and,
man.
and
Think
your
about that.
and your
When
young
Jarvis came,
receivers and your young receivers can learn from him.
yeah. And when he came, bro, he was the first one. Culture change. He's like, look, man, y'all can laugh at me. We're not doing this no more. We're not losing like this no more. He said it himself when he came over from Miami. He was like, we are not doing the same thing. Like he was the
Hmm.
culture champion, bro. Before they figured out the whole coaching thing and brought these other players in,
Right.
started with Jarvis, man.
Right.
Literally, this man came from he he left a decent situation
To get
and was
to a
over to
fucked up
Cleveland.
situation.
Right. Like he had no, there was nothing in the cards for him at the time. No one knew what was going to happen. Baker wasn't even here yet. It's like, look, man, he said we ain't doing this no more, right? That's it. And then next thing you know, things start turning around. Players start playing different. You know, they was real scrappy that first season with him, and then after that, the cards started to just fall. You know, it started happening. But the thing is, like, that's the guy I'm gonna keep.
Right,
Hands down, that's the guy I'm gonna keep. And
right.
speaking of which, I'm still trying to get that man at slot. Put that man back at slot. Figure that out, please. Please
Hey,
figure that
hey,
out, especially with Schwartz. You have
man, that
speed now.
boy. Yeah, you got
Figure that
speed.
out.
You got three receivers with speed. You got Schwartz. You got Peoples Jones. You got what's the name? What's the other boy name? It come back to me. But you also got good tight end. You got the Joku playing his ass off.
Man,
Like,
he playing like we wrote him off, remember? He was
yeah,
like,
we
yeah, he
did
dropping stuff, done, whatever. That man like, look,
because that was his stigma at Miami. That was his stigma.
it
We
was.
when we needed him, and I'm a secondary Canes fan. There's no secret. But when we needed him, we couldn't count on him. So I'm I'm in a situation now where, as a journalist, as a football fan, I'm seeing for my own two eyes, this is the reality. And the reality is Browns fans need to stop. One, stop trying to act like y'all better than the Steelers, because it's going to take y'all another 5 years to get better than the Steelers statistically and uh, on the field. There's just no secret. Your the front offices don't match. It's a true statement. I don't care how you take it. Be mad at me all you want. If you know football, you know the Roonies are either one of the best or are the best at drafting. They are the best at free agent pickups, and they are the best at keeping teams together. Mike Tomlin, Mike Tomlin is not, he may have a losing season this year. I'm expecting that, but he ain't had a losing season since he got in. Bill Cowher only had like three losing seasons when he was there. When Stefanski got hired, the truth was this was the right move. As much as everybody loved Freddie's intensity, and if you ain't from Cleveland, you don't matter. Yeah, this was the right move. That was a start. They're doing the analytics thing. I don't believe in analytics, but if it's working, I'm sticking with it. Whatever. I give it 5 years complete. 5 complete years. This is year two. That the Browns will be the scariest team in the NFL that you do not want to face. But right now, you got to let this play out.
Hmm.
Let it play out. You got the best defense in the AFC. I'm calling it best defense in the AFC. You got the third best defense in the league. You have the best rushing attack, not named Derrick Henry. You literally have it. The best rushing attack, not named Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is a whole rushing attack himself. And you have the
Very
second
true.
best, if not the best, outside of him. Thirdly, you have the best receiving group in the AFC. Not just one, you have the best group in the AFC. And finally, your team is going to be together for at least another 3 years, defensively anyway. Because
Hmm.
we know next year Jarvis and Odell is one of the two you got to pick. More than likely, I'm sticking with Jarvis like you, but that defense is going to be intact for at least another 2 years before you have to make any real sacrifice. And for those that are calling for
True.
Baker's head, those that are calling for Baker's head, why the fuck do you think Case Keenum is a backup to Baker? Just think about that.
Exactly.
Why do you think he's a backup now? He started, and the team he just left, he wasn't even starting. Kirk Cousins was, they got that motherfucker from Washington.
Hmm.
Think about that, people. Think about that. They got your
There's a
backup.
reason.
They got your backup from the team you just beat and the team you just beat didn't even want him starting, so they went to Washington and got another motherfucker who's not a big game winner. Prove that in college, but he happens to be better than the quarterback y'all just had that you're calling for to start over Baker. Think about that, man.
Mm-hmm.
Think it's just football. It's not rocket science, but if it was rocket science, some of y'all would be failing. Case
And here's the
Keenum,
thing:
go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Cleveland is the last group of fans to be calling for any quarterback the way the last 20 years and went. You haven't seen a solid quarterback. Now, I'll say this: Couch wasn't bad, but you ain't give him a line. You don't get nobody a line, you can't do nothing. I don't give a
Talk
damn
to
who
him.
you are.
I'm
So
gonna
there's
pull a
that.
Dame right now. I'm gonna pull a
So
Dame.
you had your chance.
Talk
You
to him.
had your chance. You
Talk to
had
him.
your chance. You drafted that man number one overall. He was the scariest mofo coming out of Kentucky in a shotgun offense, hands down. That boy was ready. What did you do? You let him get beat down and broke up. Now, of course, right now he like the Hulk, like he been, shooting up something, whatever. But other than sorry, other than that, I mean, you gave that man nothing to work with. Nothing. Not one thing. You're like, oh, this grand QB. Who we gonna throw to? You gotta give him more than 2 seconds to do something with it. So you trash his whole career. After that, it
Hmm.
was a slew of like bad choices, people that's on their way out, Jeff Garcia, all this
And the,
random crap just happening left and right, and
and the
you
most
mad
decent
at
quarterback
Baker?
and the most decent quarterback they had after Tim Couch was Brian Hoyer, and you let him go. You kicked him off the team.
Right, y'all a local dude, a hometown guy. Brian Hoyer is a hometown guy. You let him walk away. That man, the thing that what he was able to do for the time frame that he was here, right? You figure they were smacking teams on offense. You got Josh Gordon to the Pro Bowl, right? And then on top of that, nobody wanted to face them. It was the first time in that 20-year span that the Browns were 6-2 before the bye week. 6-2.
One
Six
more
and
time.
two.
One more time.
6-2.
Talk to him.
With what? With what? They didn't even have a dominant offense then. This was a guy who came in and said, I am a smart player. I know what I have. I have a quick release. I know who I can get it to on third down. And I have a really, really good play action fake. Because whenever he was bootlegging, you ain't know what he was doing. Defense was all confused, right? This man put you in the best position. You
To
didn't
make the
want to pay
playoffs.
him. And where does he go?
And he wasn't even asking for that much.
He wasn't. He wasn't even asking for like, Breeze money, Brady money. He wasn't asking for Russell Wilson money. He was just wanting to play. He wanted to be like, look, give me a real contract, dog. These 1 2 year contracts ain't cutting it. And at the time frame, he wasn't old. He was like 27, 28 years old. He wasn't old. He could have gave 5 more years to the franchise. What do? You let him walk away? Okay, so what you gonna do now? Now you doing stupid crap again, bringing in random people, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, because at the end of the
Hey,
day, outside of couch, it was him, Tyrod Taylor, Seneca Wallace.
I go
That's
back
it.
even further. I go back even
That's
further
it.
before we close it out. Y'all, the Browns been calling for quarterbacks head and not realizing that when you call for a quarterback's head, you lose out. Remember the last quarterback and the fans didn't even call for the quarterback's head. It was somebody who's playing tonight, or who's coaching on the sideline tonight that called for his head and y'all ain't been good ever since. And he went on to Dallas and got a Super Bowl ring. I'll tell you his name, Bernie.
Bernie Kosar. Mm-hmm.
You let the second, actually I say third greatest Browns quarterback in history go because your coach didn't think he was fitting it, and you put in a quarterback that was worse than him, even though they went to the same school. Hmm.
Crazy.
And then when he stunk
What?
up the joint, y'all was calling for his head.
See, that's the thing, man. Don't nobody want to stick with nothing. They want instant success.
And it
They
don't
want to
work like
see it
that.
just happen, and it don't work like that. No matter where you are, it don't work like that. It take at least, even for the most elite, it take at least a couple years for the most elite, right? I mean, it's stupid, bro. Like every time I hear Browns fans talk about this stuff, man, it just makes me mad. I'm just like, wow. I say, y'all really don't really be watching the game, do you? You don't really be
No,
studying
they
the
don't.
game. You don't even really be looking at nothing. Like you just see wins and losses. You don't look at what's really happening, what's developing, the good bright spots you probably should build upon. You're like, oh, it didn't work for him one year, get him out. It didn't work for this person, get him out. Like this is not like just some, overnight thing that you build that you just bring a bunch of guys in, all of a sudden it just works. It doesn't work
Right.
like that. It doesn't
Exactly.
work like that. There's a whole lot more field and a whole lot more players. This ain't basketball. This ain't basketball.
They don't get it, man. They don't get it.
You know what I'm
They
saying?
don't.
Like, oh
They
my
don't.
God, man. So
But
next time I
but
hear some Browns fan talking that crap, man, I got you.
I
Holla at me.
told I told him, man, we can invite him onto the show. We can go for it. We can go toe to toe
We
about
can
it.
debate that. I'm good with it. I'm so good with it.
And yet nobody has wanted to smoke.
Nope, they don't want that, man. It's just crazy. I mean, because what they gonna have to go off of? Emotion?
Pretty
Like,
much.
give me some facts. Give me some actual facts. Like, give me some statistics. Give me something that is going to convince me, convince my co-host what it is that you so mad about right now. What are you so mad
Right.
about right now? I mean, you should be happy right now. You should be hum. You should be humbled. Let me say that. If you don't want to be
Very.
happy, be humble. Show
Very.
humility. Show lots of humility because this is the same franchise that was one of two franchises that went 0-16 in the
Talk to
last
him.
5 years.
Talk to him.
You don't. What team? What other team do you? There is no other team. I'm sorry. I was about to say, what other team do you know goes from 0-16 and doing what they're doing right now? Nobody. Hello, Detroit.
Yeah, they damn sure didn't do it.
It's just like, come on, man. And y'all mad? Like, why y'all mad? Why are y'all mad? You. Oh my gosh, man. Because you know what? I'm gonna put this out there. I ain't gonna say his name, but I had someone say this to me because we were talking about that meme, right? The one you mentioned. And even with that and all jokes aside, this dude had the nerve to say to me, man, if we would have had Aaron Rodgers, we probably would have a title now and all that.
Mm-mm,
What?
mm-mm,
What are you talking about? What are you
mm-mm.
talking about? And all this shoulda, woulda, coulda crap. Once again, oh yeah, it's easy to say that we would have done something if we had this guy. Did nobody know who this guy was when they first started, right?
Mm-hmm.
You go back and you look at Brady, in New England. Bill Belichick opened up about that dude this past week and said they had a roster spot for him just because they saw potential. They wasted a roster spot on him by keeping him. He was the fourth string quarterback. Fourth, right? You don't even need that many damn QBs. Whatever.
Right.
Fourth string quarterback, right? You keep him on there. You're like, we see something in this kid. Okay, cool. You keep working with him. He keeps showing up, you know, putting in that grind. And now you have all this success later, right? You
But
look at
here's the
Aaron Rodgers, he
thing.
played behind Favre. I
But
mean,
here's the thing.
he's got
If if that hit the Bledsoe don't happen, do you even see Tom Brady for another 2 or 3 years?
no, absolutely not. And why would you? Because Bledsoe was the man at the time. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? It was
And,
like a means to an end. You next
and
guy
still in
up.
his
And
prime.
we always say it. We always say it. Next guy up, right?
Right.
Next guy up. He saw his opportunity, like, look, man, if I want this start spot, I gotta do something now. And he did it. Period point blank. There's no argument there. Not one. Not one. And like you said, if Bledsoe don't get cracked, man, like that, he ain't losing this spot. He had them in the best position to win. Why would he lose it? You know what I'm saying? Oh my God. Got me all fired up, man.
Or I'm with you, bro.
I'm sitting
I'm
here,
with you.
I'm just like, fans is crazy. And that's the difference
Totally.
between a fan and people that study the game. Flat out. Just saying.
One day, one day somebody gonna get it.
Oh my God. Oh, here's one for you. I got one last one. One last rant. One last rant because I'm fired up. You know what I mean? I had a lady tell me last week at work, "You're a Browns fan? The Browns suck." I was like, "Okay, yeah, for a long time. Um, but do you suck when we're 2 games away from the Super Bowl? Can you still say you suck?" I wouldn't say suck. I would say, yeah, a lot of work to do, but suck. Like like 0-16 suck. Like uh barely making it out the division suck. Like QB got 20 interceptions suck. Uh, we giving up 450 yards a game suck. When did all that happen? That ain't happened last year. Um, I was looking at her like, so you're going off of the team name basically, right? You're going off of whatever you saw since '99, with the exception of you not watching last year. Okay, you didn't watch any football this year either. Then it looks like okay, you don't follow any of the you know free agency or anything else has been happening, right? You just don't really follow the game. You just saw Cleveland Browns, and you're like, yeah, I ain't watching them. Okay, obviously you have not paid attention the last 2 years. That's cool. That's cool, and I get it. Historically, okay, whatever. One time you're great, then you're like the trash of the league. Now you're trying to go back again. Okay, whatever. I get that part. I'll give you that. That's the only thing I'm giving you. Outside of that, don't say suck. Don't say suck. There's definitely
That's
something
true.
special happening. You know what I mean? And like you said to your point, Mel, it's going to take time. It's going to take time. This is a 3 to 5 year project, right? We've seen year one, year two is upon us now, right? You got this core group of guys. They're only all together for next season. After next season, dismantling
Ain't no talent.
happens. Defense still together, cool. So, for you anxious Browns fans, or for you ones that can't be patient enough, if something doesn't happen this year, it definitely happens next year, or it has to happen. I won't say it will happen. It has to happen next year. Can it happen beyond that? Possibly, possibly. But nothing happens overnight. I'm gonna leave it at that. I can't. I
I'm
gotta let
leaving
it go.
it.
I'm sorry.
I'll let you have that one because everything you said is on point. It's
Mm,
on point.
yeah.
So, with that being said, that is going to end this night's episode. Uh, for those looking for the Senate League Game of the Week update, this week is going to be the West Side rivalry as John Marshall will be taking on James F. Rhodes, and that's where we will be this weekend on the West Side. For that, as the bragging rights as who owns the West Side will be on the line. Rhodes is not a bad team this year, man. A lot of people are sleeping on Rhodes. They held Glenville to 22 points, and I honestly believe if those two fumble snaps don't happen, that game looks a lot different.
Hmm. Momentum is everything, man. Tighten up on that kind of stuff, and you got an opportunity.
Right. So for those that are be watching, you can follow that game on YouTube this Friday at 3 p.m. Uh, Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Subscribe to us on YouTube to catch the games. We still got a couple more games to go, including the Senate League City Championship. And, you know, got a lot of things going. We got the Cleveland Gaming Classic Convention and slash Tecmo Bowl tournament next month in November. We will be covering that as well. So just keep an eye on everything. Shout out to Collinwood High School and Coach Greg Wheeler for your win last week as the game of the week. I'm going to share something with you off the air about that game. You might be proud. You probably might cry tonight, when you. But it's a very positive thing. But yeah, for those that are wondering, that's where we will be this week. Rhodes versus Marshall, And we got who we got this week? Oh, we got Cuyahoga Heights, big game this week. Cuyahoga Heights comes to us.
Ooh,
So
testy, testy, testy. Oh
yeah. So Luther and East keep hurting us with playoff points. They actually lost the roads. So
man.
yeah, this is a good game. It should be a good game this weekend. So I'm looking
So
forward to this weekend as always. You can always catch our written content. I actually am. We do apologize. I am behind on our written content. Got to keep up on that as well on our website. But our website is still up. We still got written content on there as well. So, with that being said, for 4th and 15, I'm Mel. That's Smooth. Peace.
peace.